This episode of the Accounting Insiders podcast is brought to you in part by Xero. Xero is a powerful cloud accounting software that improves efficiencies across your practice. With all client data stored on a single unified ledger, you and your clients can easily access and collaborate on the same set of books. Xero's advisor tools and automation solutions reduce time-consuming manual tasks and put data entry on autopilot. Work faster and more efficiently than ever before with Xero. Visit xero.com/accounting insiders to learn more.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Accounting Insiders podcast. My name is Gary DeHart. I am the host of the Accounting Insiders podcast and publisher, managing partner of Insightful Accountant. I'm looking a little blurry and a little out of touch today. I had to exactly. I had to change rooms because it was really cold here last week. Cold for us. I mean, it's cold for anybody. It was in the 20s, low 20s. And so I moved my desk, and now the lighting's all weird. So pardon me if I'm a little shiny on the head. My head keeps disappearing here and a little unclear. But I'm still me. I'm not an AI generated anything. But so again, Gary DeHart with Insightful Accountant, and this is the Accounting Insiders podcast. My guest today is Roger Knecht with Universal Accounting or Universal Accounting Center. Roger is the president of the Universal Accounting Center, which is a post-secondary school for accounting professionals. And we're going to what we're going to be talking about today. Roger's going to share a little bit about the school, about his history, his background, his bio in the school, kind of what's in it for the accounting professional. Why would I go there? Why would I reach out to you guys? And then we're going to get into kind of the 3-4 services that businesses want or need, probably need and want from their accounting professional. And that's really important. And it's something that, you and I both have a lot of exposure in this space. And it's something that, we have conversations with people, and it seems to me there's not a complete embracing of this advisory. And the accounting pro is in the seat to be the best advisor ever. So before I go too far, Roger, welcome. I'll just keep talking here. Welcome. Thanks for taking some time. And you're in Utah, right?
I am. And it's my pleasure, Gary. I appreciate being here, and I appreciate the conversation. So I'm looking forward to this.
Yes. So are you going to leave from here and go skiing? Tell me no, just to make me feel better.
Actually, I'm leaving from here and I'm hiking a 3.5-mile hike to a cabin. It's my father's cabin. We're going to be hiking in the snow and rain this evening. It's estimated to be about 30 to 40 mile an hour winds. And so I've got a night snow hike ahead of me before I get to the cabin tonight.
Well, all right. That is not something that's ever been on my list of things that I wanted to do. I mean, I guess if I had to, I would. Probably will be enjoyable. Certainly, once you get there, it'll be enjoyable.
Well, so. my brothers are heading up there before me, so I'm expecting to arrive to a nice warm cabin when I get there.
That's right. That is fair enough. Well, that will be great. Have a great time. Is it just for the weekend, or you come back Sunday, or?
It's going to be a quick trip. So it's an annual event that we do. We basically snowshoe in, but this year there's not as much snow, so we'll be hiking in. But it's just an overnighter. I'll be coming back tomorrow, and then I'll be with my family for the Super Bowl.
Right. Super Bowl's right there.
Yep.
And then, so on hiking, what kind of boots do you wear?
They're not exactly the best boot, unfortunately. I need some new hiking boots, but they're basically more of a kind of like a combat boot or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I have, so both my sons went through Boy Scouts, and one of them we did kind of the high adventure trips and Boy Scouts, which out to Philmont. And I bought, they're called Obos, O-B-O-Z.
Yeah.
And they are the most comfortable pair of shoes I own. And we hiked about 80 miles in the week and I had no blisters, none, not a single blister.
Well, I appreciate that because, like I said, I'm in the hunt for a new pair of shoes, and specifically a hiking boot that I'm looking for. So I need one.
Well, I'm a big fan of that one. I should be getting commissioned off of it because O-B-O-Z. They sell them at REI. I don't know where else you can get them, but big fan. But
I'm going to take that endorsement and I'm going to check it out at REI. They're just down the street.
Perfect. All right. Well, tell me about the Universal Accounting Center. Well, actually, before there,
okay,
what's your background?
My background,
Yeah.
interestingly enough, is I originally became acquainted with the accounting profession as a headhunter. I was doing recruiting. I was
Okay.
placing individuals in temporary and permanent placement positions. I was basically helping people find their employment in the accounting space, and so that's how I became introduced to the school. I was taking graduates from the training programs and placing them on
Okay.
assignment, and that's how I became acquainted with the accounting profession.
And were you placing them in firms and companies or both?
Both.
Okay. Okay. And that was when?
Oh, that was back in the 90s. So it's been some
Okay.
time now. I've been actually with Universal Accounting Center for more than 25 years. So I
Oh,
started
okay.
back in 1999.
Okay. And where'd you start? What were you doing when you started?
Well, when I began, it was actually consulting work. I was actually representing the school with the state of Utah. I was helping them coordinate with people doing voc rehab as well as maybe some transitional things as it related to their skills. And so I was enrolling them through the government programs into the training that was available at the time. And then
Okay.
from that consulting opportunity, I became employed. And with that, we were able to expand the school into a number of areas. It was then that the school had 22 campuses around the United States. And rather than opening up additional campuses, we were starting to offer independent study courses. And so with
Okay.
those independent study programs, I was able to go into areas that the school wasn't originally able to enter. And really, it blossomed the school. We've actually grown not only from being in those 22 locations, but nationally and then eventually internationally.
Okay. And do you still have those 22 locations?
No, coincidentally,
Okay.
after I became president, we closed our last one. We moved entirely to an independent study platform. So all of
Gotcha.
our curriculum and training are now available online.
Okay. So let's talk about that a little bit, and then we'll dive into kind of these three questions or the three
Certainly.
services people are looking for. I like to always, the easiest way to put it for me is what's in it for me? So if I'm an accounting professional, what's in it for me to come to, to go to Universal Accounting Center? Why would I do that?
Well, first of all, for the accounting professional, many people, many of them have this perspective of continuing education. So I think as a profession, we really appreciate the fact that things have evolved and improved. Debits are
Hmm.
still debits, credits are still credits, but clearly over the last 20, 30 years, things have changed. We went through this paperless transition to on the cloud. We've now been seeing things really integrate with a number of plugins and additions to the general ledger platforms that we're using. But in addition to that, we're now starting to see AI come into the scene and see how we can actually complement our services with this additional integration. Well, that evolution isn't changing essentially the business model, the language of accounting, but it clearly has changed how we do our business, how we can service our clients, and more importantly, get paid what we're worth. And so what we're doing as a school is helping the accounting professional learn those skills, those abilities, become competent in what it is that they do so that they can be paid more or less for the work that they're doing as an accounting professional. So what we're trying to do as a school is be on the cutting edge, or more importantly, help them obtain those skills, become competent in the workflow. And that's what we're trying to do as it relates to the individual. And with firms, we're helping train their staff so that they're offering quality
Okay.
accounting services.
Okay. And so I'm just make sure I've got it right. So I'm learning more than debits and credits.
Oh, certainly. Yeah. So
Yeah.
we do have a traditional bookkeeping course, if you will. We've got payroll
Hmm.
classes, QuickBooks classes, tax classes, AFSP. We can prep you to become an enrolled agent. So, I mean, we've got a number of curriculums available to help individuals. But because we focus so much with firms that are actually in the growth mind, we actually have marketing classes, pricing classes, sales
Okay.
classes. And then in addition to that, in the recent years, CFO and advisory services have become quite important. And so we've actually created some curriculums around how to market, sell, price, and ultimately deliver proper CFO and advisory services.
Okay. So are these one-off courses or or is it like college semesters? What does that look like?
Great question. So the training does, let's say, vary. You've got classes that are meant to be like a day-long training. You've got some that are a week. You've got some that are about 4 to 6 weeks of training. So it just depends on the curriculum and what you're trying to study. But some of the classes are very quick. We've got some that are as little as just a few hours. And so clearly those are meant to be done in just one single sitting. But you have other curriculums that are basically a program. You're really going in depth and getting certified in your certain skills. And you can be, let's say, certified as a professional bookkeeper, someone who's proficient in the day-to-day applications of accounting and small
Mhm.
business. You can become a QuickBooks specialist. You can become let's say, for example, a professional tax preparer. This is someone that's certified as being proficient in both individual and business returns, both from a preparation and planning point of view. And then there's clearly the CFO and advisory services, which would be the profit and growth expert program. That's a certification that represents that you're proficient in advisory services. So just
Okay.
depends on what curriculums perhaps you're interested in.
Okay. So I could really, if I, let's say I'm starting out, come to you, you kind of teach me the basics, and then you teach me the next step of how to grow,
Hmm.
and then teach me next steps or next opportunities that I can tie into my firm. I need to spend some time on your website. I didn't do that, but
That's fine.
because it's actually it's I didn't realize that that's how you're structured, and it makes a
Mhm.
lot of sense. And I guess that's probably from being how because it's been around 50 years. Is that right?
Close to 50. We started in
Okay.
1979. I'm the third
Okay.
president of the school, and you're right. About a third of our students do come to us with very little background in formal education as it relates to accounting training. So we do cover the basics, but we also have those individuals that are already CPAs, EAs. They're trying to actually dive deeper into, let's say, small business accounting services or tax
Hmm.
planning and preparation services. And so as they're growing their business and acquiring those skills either for themselves or their staff, we're filling in those gaps.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, let's kick off. So what we're really talking about, that thanks for that update. Because again, I had not really, you and I had not gone that deep into the company. And like I said, I didn't really go out to the website other
Mhm.
than previous conversation. But
Yeah.
so three core accounting services. What is it that I know I'm a small business guy. So what is it that I'm looking for from my bookkeeper accounting professional? What are those
Well,
key three services?
I'm going to say what they are, and then I'm going to give you some context. So it's very,
Yeah.
very simple. There are three core services that I believe the business community expects from the accounting profession as a whole. It's bookkeeping and accounting, tax planning and preparation,
Mhm.
CFO and advisory services. And each of those six things are different and unique, but they are in those three core areas: bookkeeping and accounting, tax planning and preparation, CFO and advisory. And the
Yeah.
reason for this is very simple. I found this is years ago that there was a communication breakdown that existed between the business owner and the accounting profession. What the business owner understood and expected as it related to accounting services was totally different than what the accounting profession was
Mm.
explaining that was offered and actually sold. And what we were finding is, as I would talk to the business owners, when I had asked them, when you pay for and receive bookkeeping services, what are you thinking that you're getting? What are you expecting? What's the difference between bookkeeping and accounting services? If somebody offers you accounting services and you pay an additional service, what are you anticipating you're going to get in return for that? And when I listened to the bookkeeper, they would explain those services in a certain way, but yet the business owner wouldn't use those same explanations. There was
Mm.
clearly a communication breakdown. There was a disconnect. And so that led to frustrations. Business owners thought they were getting accounting when they were paying for bookkeeping. They thought they were getting tax strategies, tax advice, tax planning. They were just getting tax preparation services. They thought they were getting, let's say, CFO services, but they were just getting accounting services. And there was just this huge disconnect between what the communication was between these two very important individuals: the business owner who's paying for the service and the accounting professional who's delivering the service. And so, understanding that, I felt that this was a very worthwhile conversation to dive into. And over the years, I've gotten the answers, if you will, for that.
Yeah, well, that's great, and that is so. Let's stick on that a little bit. So,
Yeah.
just book in the bookkeeping side, in the bookkeeping and accounting side. I mean, to
Yeah.
me, there are there's a lot of advisory opportunities in the bookkeeping and accounting side. I don't have to be a tax professional. I don't have to be doing tax returns to be able to offer advisory services to my clients.
Correct.
Do you find that people who come into your courses or people you meet and talk to, um, that there's a hesitancy from a bookkeeper to delve into advisory?
Oh, most definitely. There's a hesitancy because it's self-imposed. It's something that they're limiting themselves. And when they
Yeah.
come through the training and realize that they can, in fact, move into that expert role and actually be an advisor, let's say, it's very liberating to them because with years of experience and with proper training, they can clearly offer bookkeeping services. But with the insights that they have, they can
Yeah.
offer that additional perspective as an accounting professional and do the analysis of the financial reports and give perspective to the business owner that they wouldn't otherwise get. And then you can take it to another level and move into that CFO role. But the point is two things. It's confidence. It's the ability to confidently look the business owner in the eye and say that you clearly can perform these services. And then
Yeah.
it's the competence. That's the second thing, the competence to do so efficiently and profitably. If you can't efficiently do the work, you're wasting your time and you're not going to be paid very well for your services because you're not competent at it. So what we try to do as a school is instill those two things. The confidence, you've got a third party entity that's basically trained and certified your skills in that space. And then the second is the competency to now perform that service and get paid well for it. But to distinguish between what a bookkeeping role is, an accounting role, you have to define them very well. And even in the accounting space, I see that CPAs, accountants, bookkeepers, they struggle to say, what is that difference? How are they uniquely different as a bookkeeper versus an accountant?
And then do you guys get into that, into how to help them differentiate their products?
Oh,
Part of the
100%.
service?
So let me just answer this very quickly and we can go deeper still. But the point is bookkeeping is very simple to define. It is the recording of the transactions up to and recording or preparing the financial reports. That is the role of the bookkeeper. It's to deliver accurate and timely financial reports to the business owner. But that's where that role stops, because if it's just from a compliance point of view, the bookkeeper has done their job. They've basically created the balance sheet, the P&L, the cash flow statements, and we're good to go. The analysis of that information to now, as an interpreter, a translator, take that language of business, which is accounting, and now take those reports, analyze them, see what's going on, see perhaps what happened last month compared to the previous month, last month to the same month last year, last quarter compared to the previous year's quarter. It's all these things that we're doing analytically to determine what's happening with, let's say, our gross profit margin, what's happening to our advertising as it relates to gross profit, what's happening to our net income as it's related to gross profit. Are we getting that profit margin that we used to be getting? Has inflation caused our cost of goods to go up, that less money is actually making it to the gross profit line? This is the type of analysis that we're trying to do as an accounting professional to help educate the business owner so that they can make more informed business decisions. That role is the accountant's role versus what the bookkeeper is doing. So if I'm selling bookkeeping services, and if I'm a business owner that's paid for bookkeeping services, I'm looking for just compliance. Did you provide the reports to me and do I have them? But if I'm looking for accounting services and I've paid for accounting services, I'm very interested in the analysis, the perspective that accountant can bring to the table to help me make more informed business decisions. And so I'm anticipating that I'm going to get not just financial reports, but an analysis of how the business is doing, let's say year over year, month over month. I'm looking for insights that you're able to tell me about my business that I'm living on a day-to-day basis. Those are hugely different from one another. Now, are you selling those? Are you providing those? Are you over-delivering in those? That's what we're looking for as it relates to client relations. And then obviously CFO services are beyond that.
Right. And interesting, I can't remember how you worded it, but I think you said overselling in those. So by that, do you mean I'm charging for bookkeeping services, but I'm also providing all this other insight, but not
Well,
charging those
it's
rates?
twofold. You've got a number of people that are bookkeepers that are offering clearly accounting services, but not charging for accounting services. But the converse exists. You've got a number of people out there, whether it's CPAs or accountants, saying that they do accounting work, but all they're doing is bookkeeping. They're just providing financials and delivering them to the client without any analysis. And yet they're saying they're doing accounting. They imply that that's an additional service they're offering, but they don't even meet with the client and give that analysis. But yet they sold and were paid for accounting services. So it's both ways. It's sometimes the bookkeeper accountant is over delivering because of the fact that they just are nice and good and know, and that's what they want to do to retain the client. But the converse exists where we're telling the business owner we're doing accounting. And yet when I meet with the business owner and I ask, did they do these things? They're like, no, I've never seen this analysis. I've never gotten that insight. I've never received that perspective. All I've gotten are financial reports. I'm like, well, then you're just paying for bookkeeping services. You're clearly not getting the accounting that you're paying for.
And then let's move that into, advisory and kind of that CFO level of work.
Yeah.
Is there differentiation? How do we differentiate that as an accounting professional who I've done the bookkeeping, I've done the accounting, but how do I differentiate my services so that now I'm an outsourced CFO or part-time partial CFO?
Yeah, a fractional CFO and so forth.
Yeah.
So very common in the workplace, but what is the CFO role? And I think this is something that I think we need to understand and should educate our business owner clients to realize. The CFO role, first and foremost, is dealing with cash flow management. We're trying to determine whether or not the business model at the model level itself is profitable. If we actually take pro formas, do budgets, can we actually see that the business is going to operate profitably if we hit certain milestones? Well, Well, at the CFO level, we're going to do those types of projections. We're going to manage cash flow. We're getting into the intricacies of the business as to how we manage payables, how we're managing receivables, what are our collections processes, when are we writing things off, what are we doing actually as it relates to the vendor relationships that we have, securing for the business, say net 10, net 30, net 45 type billings. What are we doing to retain the monies we're collecting? What are we doing to actually collect more of the monies that are owed? We're looking at
Mhm.
capital. How are we going out and actually helping with the business acquiring, let's say, a line of credit or a business loan? How are we helping the client get investors? How are we actually positioning the business so that it's actually in a profitable mindset? We're dealing with payroll situations. You've got payroll or compensation that's occurring in the business. So you're helping the business owner understand here's the best way to pay, let's say, the salesperson. It's not on accrual, it's not on the sales receipt, it's on cash received. Did they actually get paid? Well, let's say you sold something, but the money wasn't actually collected for 3 months. Well, maybe you're actually paying the salesperson on certain productions based on accrual level numbers, cash related numbers. When these conversations are happening, those aren't a bookkeeper discussion. Those aren't even an
Mhm.
accountant discussion. As a CFO, I'm involved with the business owner addressing the business model and what it is that they're doing to have a profitable business as it relates to the policies and procedures that they have in the company.
And do you see people coming through your courses that are kind of getting that, aha moment or the lights, going off and they're saying, that's kind of what I'm already doing. Why am I not, saying that's what I'm doing?
Yeah, you've got two things happening. Some admit that this is something that they're delving into, offering, addressing with their clients, but clearly they're not packaging or selling it accordingly. They didn't know that they could refer to it as such. The second
Mhm.
is they realize, wow, this is something that a client's willing to pay for. I'm capable of doing it, but I need to package it in a way that I can price it and more importantly, deliver it that the client would be happy for what they're paying for. But I'm not clear on what that packaging looks like. How do I actually organize my bookkeeping services to be distinct from my accounting services so that they're unique from my CFO and advisory services? And so if you can go through and get clarity in your own mind as to how to best package, price, market, sell these, all of a sudden what you're doing now with your clients makes sense and you're able to manage expectations. When you actually go to a client and you have them pay you, you're able to say, you've bought the bookkeeping package, I'm providing the bookkeeping service. When you're ready, I
Mhm.
can do more. I can actually do the accounting, the analysis. I can give you the pie charts, the graphs, the things that actually explain what's happening as your business evolves. Oh, if you're interested in working with your investors and helping with the banking and coming up with policies as it relates to payables and receivables and payroll and cash flow, I can actually now get involved with you at a CFO type level. Those are conversations that you can now intentionally have with your client and be paid accordingly.
Yeah. And I imagine the higher you go up that chain, the stickier the customer would be.
Both sticky and how far you're involved with the client. So
Mhm.
yes, you've got a client retention element there. So you're clearly going to retain them much longer. But now look at how deep you're getting with the client and how valuable are to them. No longer are you just kind of a necessary evil that somebody's just paying because they're in business. Now you're integral to their success and they want to involve you in decision making. They're going to reach out to you and get your perspective on things. Hey, I need to buy this. How do I go about getting the loan? Well, you're going to need to get these few things in order before you go ask for the loan because let's say your liquidity ratio and your current ratio, some of these things are off. You need to get those in line so that you're actually going to get approved for a business line of credit. Those are the types of discussions that this person wants to have with you, not as a bookkeeper, but as a CFO.
Right. Yep. Yep. I'm looking for an advisor, right? I mean, I've got a
Mhm.
business partner and we're both sales and marketing guys. That's not our background. We understand what's going on in the business, but we don't take the time or probably don't want to take the time to go out and do a lot of those things that a CFO should be doing or would be doing for us if we had one in place.
Yeah,
And
for example, I need to hire somebody. Am I able to actually afford them? Do I have the payroll that I can actually get them up to speed in producing through the training model? Well, if I don't have the money in the bank, I might be too early hiring a new employee. Hey, if you're going to hire
mhm,
someone, I'd highly suggest that you have 3 months worth of payroll in the bank so that you can cover payroll and not be in a crunch as it comes to the second or third payroll and they're not yet producing, let's say. These types of conversations you're having with the CFO, not with a bookkeeper.
right. Is the so we kind of I think we covered all three of the core services. The only one we didn't talk much about was kind of the tax prep side and
That's right.
tax advisory. What do you want to touch on there? Is there anything that would that highlights that stick out from
I
that?
do. So there is a distinction between tax preparation and tax planning or advisory services. And I think there's a huge opportunity as it relates to advisory services in tax, just like it does in CFO and advisory. And there is one other thing about CFO and advisory that I think we should come back to, but let me still answer your question as it relates to
Yeah.
tax. When you consider tax preparation, the distinctions are very important. One, tax preparation, when you're offering that service, is clearly just in a timely and accurate way filing the returns. That's what you're looking for, personal or business. But when you're
Hmm.
looking for tax advisory, you're looking for somebody that can come in and over the course of the year, meet with the client to advise them on things that they can do to leverage the tax code in a legal way to mitigate their tax liability. Are there things that I can be doing that would actually help me pay less in tax? Well, of course there are. And you've got people that will talk about becoming an S Corp. You're paying towards your HSA, you're paying towards your 401k, you're employing your children. I mean, all these little strategies that you find that business owners can actually implement. Well, they're ignorant to those. They're not aware of this. They're very
Hmm.
good at their business. They're not an expert in the tax code. Well, as you come in with planning advice, you can sit down with the business owner and look at what are we going to do regarding depreciations? What are we going to be doing with regards to purchasing equipment and so forth? There are different things that you might be able to take advantage of hiring employees where they have different statuses, and because of this you get a tax credit. Those things are things that, as a tax planner, somebody that's an advisor, you can come in and actually help the client save thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars as it relates to tax code or tax expenses that they would never realize if you were just a preparer filing the return. But as you look at the business owner, understand the expectations. So many business owners presume that if you're filing my tax return and you're my preparer, well, of course you're advising me. Of course you've got my
Right.
best interests at heart. Of course you're going to tell me if there's something I could or should be doing to save. And the answer is no. What you've
Right.
paid me for is merely to file your return. That's it, timely and accurately. So if I want to offer tax advisory services, I need to sell it as such, I need to position it as such, and more importantly, I need to be paid for it as such. And so there's a different level there that you need to consider whether or not you're going to provide that as a business. Now, that is also managing the expectation of the client. Did they or aren't they paying for planning or just advisory or preparation services? And that distinction is hugely important. That's why it's one of the three core services.
Yep. Yep. Hey, I filled out my planner. Aren't you advising me for
Oh
giving me
yeah,
tax advice?
yeah.
No,
Why
yeah,
would somebody want to go in and review my previous year filings? They're saying that they could find maybe
right,
some tax savings in there. Well, didn't you do that? No, I
right,
filed your return. I
right.
didn't give you any advice as to what you could have done to save anymore. Really?
Yeah,
Well, I
yeah,
thought that you would just naturally do that. No, I'm filing and filing and filing and filing. I'm a machine here.
right. Yeah. And you can be so much more, right?
You can.
And
Now,
that's
to
the
be very
key.
clear, you can be very successful being simply a tax preparation business. You can
Yeah,
be very, very affordable and profitable offering simply tax preparation services. You can be a very successful, a very profitable bookkeeping business. But the question is what are you choosing to offer of these six services as it relates to the needs of the business? And you get to
mm,
choose. And so, do you want to be a bookkeeping and tax preparation business? Do you want to be a bookkeeping, accounting, tax preparation, and tax advisory business? These are the things that you get to decide as to what suites of services you're going to offer.
yeah. Let me ask you this, since we're on tax, are you
Yeah.
seeing more people lean towards the EA and lean away from CPA, or is there do you have any insight into that at all?
Excellent question. I'm going to try and answer this as easily as I can. And if you do not have interest in becoming a CPA for audit purposes, I really question whether or not becoming a CPA is the right decision. It is
Yeah,
so much easier, less costly. It is just as effective to be an EA. And so we have many individuals that go through our programs with the intent of becoming enrolled agents. The reason for that is simply this: you can, as a CPA, as an EA, and as an attorney, represent your clients as it relates to tax resolution services. You can go before the IRS and help your clients with any questions that they may be experiencing as it relates to an audit. But the point is if you look at what it took to become a CPA versus what it took to become an EA, and yet both are in the eyes of the IRS the same as
yeah,
representation for the client, why not just become an EA? The CPA can do one thing that the EA cannot, and it's audit financials. Well, if you don't intend to offer that as a service, then why become the CPA is my
right.
point. So
Yeah. And so are you seeing more people leaning that way, or those classes that
Yes.
you offer? Because you said you do offer those classes, right?
Yeah, so
Um,
we have more people becoming more and more interested in the EA path. Definitely, as they start to see the opportunities as it relates to tax resolution services, it's clearly
mhm,
something that is very lucrative, and so they find that appealing. Once you get into the preparation level and you have maybe a tax season or two behind you, you start to see opportunities for tax resolutions because they start presenting themselves, and you have to turn them away unless you're an EA. And so all of a
right.
sudden, you can become that EA with just a little bit of training, take the test, and now you're able to offer that additional service. So now you're in the space of doing tax preparation, tax resolution, and tax advisory services, each of which are very lucrative, and you're able to now specialize in that. And it's not to say that one individual is doing all three. You can, as a firm, actually hire individuals to have, I've got tax preparers on my staff. I've got an EA that's working in the resolution as a specialist. I've got someone that's in the tax planning space. I get to choose as an owner where I want to specialize. So it can be quite fun.
Right. Yeah. Let me ask you one more, and then we'll kind of start moving towards wrapping up. And that's
Yeah.
around niche, niche focus. Are
Yeah.
you seeing, do you guys talk about niche? Do you train on niche at all? Um, so we'll ask that first. Is
Yes, the
that
answer is
something
very
y'all focus
simple.
on?
Yes. So, as it comes to marketing one service, you do need to
Hmm.
consider what is your ideal client? Where do you choose to specialize? Is there an industry that you actually have a particular interest in? Well, the more you can niche your services, the better your marketing can be because you can message to that specific potential client a lot easier.
Hmm.
Also, with regards to niching, you can not only market better, but you can now charge more because of your specialization. So now your marketing, your sales, all of that can gear around a particular industry. The thing that's a misnomer, this is something that a lot of people confuse. When you choose to niche in a market, it isn't to say that you're excluding all others. It just says that you're going deep in one. So it's not to say you have to get rid of necessarily all other types of clients. It's not to say
Yeah.
you can't continue to offer certain types of services. It says that you're going to become particularly good at something. So all of a sudden you can niche into something. And what I have found is if you do it well, you can actually take that niche and duplicate it. So for example, if you choose to actually specialize in, let's say dentistry, just as an example. You go into
Yeah.
dentistry. Well, why wouldn't you take that and actually tweak it and now focus on orthodontists? Why wouldn't you
Hmm.
take that same thing and now focus on people that deal exclusively with, let's say, wisdom teeth or whatever, wisdom teeth extraction? These are in the same wheelhouse. They take minor adjustments, and with that, you can actually speak specifically to an entirely different industry because the orthodontist feels that they're unique and not a dentist. And same with the person that's doing orthopedic surgery. They're not in that position where they're actually as wisdom teeth extractors considering themselves dentists, but they're in that same industry space. And so you're able to niche your messaging to each of them
Yeah.
and offer unique accounting services to all.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. And that is something that you guys, you point to that or cover that
Mhm.
more on the marketing side.
Yes. Yes. When
Okay.
we talk about marketing, that is one of the conversations, which is to say, do you have in your experience, your background, your own employment history, an industry experience that you could leverage to your benefit? It's
Yeah.
oftentimes you were raised in a family that actually did construction work. Maybe you used to work in daycares. Well, let's take that experience and focus on it. And I've had individuals that have had successful businesses choosing to focus on long haul truckers. That was a past work experience they had. They know the vocabulary. They're able to
Mhm.
speak to that industry a lot more clearly. They go after only long haul truckers. I've got people that have specialized in daycare providers. You've got people that, focus on general contractors or even, let's say, carpenters. All of a sudden, what's happening is you're speaking to an industry that you have familiarity with. And sometimes it's just simply because you have a spouse that's in that other industry and you're exposed to it. So I'm going to focus on servicing it.
Right. Yeah. And go deep. Right.
Hmm.
And
Yep.
become, and I like what you said in that just because I'm niching down into dentistry, doesn't mean I'm not doing that to the exclusion of everything else. I'm
Correct.
still willing to work, other places. Maybe I do get to a point to where no, I only work in people that work on people's mouths. That's my target customer, and I don't work outside of that. But because you have a specialty doesn't mean that you ignore the others. And that's I don't know that I've ever heard anybody put it that way. Um, so that's a good one to start pointing towards our end here. Before we
Yeah.
do go, you do have an annual event. Tell us a little bit about that event. Who would typically be there as an attendee? Who would typically be there as an exhibitor? And just a little bit of the details on that.
Certainly. So it's called GrowCon. It is an annual event for owners of bookkeeping, accounting, and tax businesses. It's here where we actually celebrate the profession. Literally, what we do is we bring to the stage experts as to what it is that we can be doing as professionals to build what I refer to as the premier accounting firm in the area. It's becoming what I also refer to as an accountrepreneur. It's the marrying of the accounting services we provide and the entrepreneurial mindset, let's say. Now, with regards to GrowCon, what we have are the experts on the stage, but many people really find value not just in the content, the things that they're learning as it relates to marketing their services, selling their services, offering quality services, working efficiently and profitably, but it's the peer relations that they actually end up with. It's the connections they make with the other attendees. It's the collaborations many leave with that they're able to now go back and service their clients with some additional connections that they didn't originally have. So it's very, very helpful. It's the networking that happens there. And then obviously it's our staff at Universal Accounting who's committed to helping these individuals who are attending be successful. We refer to it as being in business for yourself, but not by yourself with Universal. It's our staff here committed to actually help you be successful. But as to the vendors, we're bringing in those people that actually work with firm owners. It's those people that actually service the accounting community. What plugins, what resources, what tools should we be aware of as it relates to running a successful business as we're providing bookkeeping, accounting, tax services. And so if you're in a position where you service that community, love to have you come there and sponsor the event and have a booth there. But if you're an owner of a firm, you definitely need to attend. It's here where you're speaking not only to your peers, but you're hearing from experts as to what it is you need to be aware of on the cutting edge as to marketing, growing your business, offering quality services, doing the work efficiently and profitably. These are things that you need to be more or less thinking of as you work on your business. And it's an event you want to attend once a year. It's in May. Love to have you there. It's a thing you just don't want to miss.
Yeah. In Utah, right?
This year it's in Utah. So last year it was in Florida. This year it's in Utah. One other thing I do want to mention, something that's unique about it, we do have what's called a gala. At the gala, we're celebrating the successes of the accounting profession. We bring up on the stage individuals who have accomplished things in their firms that I think we all need to recognize. It's nice to actually have some recognition for the hard work that we're putting in. And so at the gala, we try to recognize those individuals who have gone above and beyond or had some stellar successes that we want to acknowledge.
That's great.
Mhm.
And do I have to have been a student or
Oh,
a
no,
customer? I don't know if you call them students or
no,
customers,
no.
what you call them. Okay.
It's for the accounting profession. If you're someone that loves what you're doing and you're all in as it relates to having a successful accounting business, you want to be there. This is for the accounting profession. It has nothing to do with Universal.
Gotcha. Great. All right. Anything that we missed? I don't think so. I think we kind of hit everything. Other
Well,
than how do people find you?
yeah, well, I'll end on that. LinkedIn is
Yeah.
an excellent place. Love to connect with
Yeah.
you there, but I'd also invite you to go to universalaccounting.com. We've got a number of free resources there that are intended to help the accounting professional have a successful business. So you can check that out. GrowCon is listed there, so you can get your ticket to attend GrowCon. Also, I happen to host a podcast, and so you can find some information there as it relates to building the premier accounting firm.
Fantastic. All right. Well, go look at those things. Stay warm, stay dry on your hike, and hope
Well,
you have a
thank
great
you.
time. You said it's with your brothers? That's who you're going with?
Yep, it's with family. So I'll be going up
All
with
right.
my son and meeting up my brothers there. So yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. But I do have one thing I do
Fantastic.
want to say
Yes,
about
absolutely.
accounting. It is
Bring it.
universal.
Hey, there we go. All right. We'll end on that. Have a great one. Thanks, Roger.